So the first thing, I went to sleep immediately. But I want to tell at the beginning, and then I had highlighted because I took notes after when we talked afterwards. Talk about, so at some point Joey, who is our cat, came and lay down next to me in bed to tell about what happened on your end with your cat.
Well, that same time, typically my cat doesn't really come in when I'm doing a clearing, and I'll usually, if I'm doing a remote clearing, I'm just sitting on my bed, doing it remotely, and my cat came and just laid down next to me and was all purring in my lap, and I was like, okay, guess he wants to join in on this. And so it was kind of funny when Julie was commenting that her cat had done the same. I was like, oh, it's like they were connecting vibrationally together. Like, hey, my buddy is over there in Raleigh. I'm going to go tune in. So it was kind of cute.
Yeah, so I like that. I'm laughing because he just came around the corner up here. When everything's high vibrating, he likes to come in.
Oh, yes. So, animals love that. They love to be, when you're meditating or when you're doing an energy healing, my dog always wants to be in my healing room. Any of my clients know she wants to be there when we're doing yoga, when we're doing meditation. And it's because they feel energy. Animals completely operate from energy, and they feel drawn to that. So they can feel that higher vibration and that calmness. And so are children. They're very naturally drawn to it. A lot of times I've been clearing like someone's home, and the little child in the house will come find me and just be sitting right near me, watching me and telling me about spirits they see and things. It's really cool. So children and animals are, I feel like they're not blocked. A lot of adults, that's what we're learning at this time, is to clear all that blockage that separates us from really beautiful experiences that are there happening, whether we're aware of them or not.
All right, outstanding. So I just thought that was really great about Joey and what happened. And so anyway, I remember zonking out. But what I find fascinating, I'm looking back at all the notes that I took. I literally felt the presence of what I would call an angel. I mean, you couldn't deny that. You had mentioned earlier that people were out like that, and it really was. What I found fascinating, because I always take everything with a grain of salt, and even though I believe in tons of stuff, I'm still kind of have this prove it to me attitude. And there were things, the messages that you told me, there's no way you could have known. And how Tanya and I met was she watched another show and she was making all these awesome comments. I'm like, who are you? What do you do? I need to connect with you. So
that was so synchronistic, by the way. Like that day I just got home, turned on my computer to look at Facebook. I see this show start, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this show starts in 5 minutes. And I was like, I really feel like I'm supposed to be on this. So my fiance's like, it's okay, I'll cook dinner. And that's how I met you. And I was just totally trusting my intuition of just like, I meant to tune into that.
Absolutely. So that's another great reminder. So one thing that I appreciate about this is, one, you gave me suggestions, or what I'd like to refer to as tools. And you just really, you can talk a little bit about the physical thing. Like I made notes that you were pulling out darkness from me, but you had messages, which, I mean, are really spot on. Like, take it easy. You need time to chill. I'm very driven at times, and I sometimes get out of whack that way. And, that I was on the soul path. There are things that no one knew about. And I'll share one now. You had talked about buzzing in my ear. Well, and about what that was related to. Well, I just thought that was tinnitus or whatever, and got a little homeopathic. But you were like, oh, you're getting some fine tuning. But no one knew about that. There's another thing which I'm not going to share publicly, that a dream I want to happen. But I was like, all right. So what I found valuable, and talk a little bit about what you do, what I would call physically or energetically, but then you give messages, and for me, you were like, you need a journal and you need to get out in nature. So something I try to do before every show is go hug a tree or spend time in nature to kind of center and ground me, because that's what I need. So talk a little bit more about that.
Well, basically, like I said, I'm just like basically a secretary for spirit. I like to keep it very humble because they're doing a lot of this work, and I'm just kind of passing information back and forth. And I do know that I'm one with them and I'm assisting them, but really I don't make anything happen. And I think it's really important that A true healer and true light worker is really in that humble space. They're not in there trying to perform or make magic like a magician, making tricks. And as soon as I sense that with others, it sends red flags for me to not really trust, because there's no need for it. So I think that it's important just to realize that what's meant to happen is going to happen. And that's what I've learned in my mentorships when I'm training the individuals who are feeling a guidance to step into their role as a light worker. That's really important thing that I share with them, is that you're not there in your ego. I don't control how much income I get in. I don't control how many people come see me. I just listen, and I can tell when there's a really high intense shift in energy. I can feel it in my body, and when I feel that wave come in, I'll be like, oh, here they come, and boom, I'll have all these clients contacting me. And it's because they're feeling that energetic shift, and now they're needing assistance. They're needing service and help as they learn to assimilate that energy. They learn to clear out the heavy, because the heavy is no longer serving them, and they're ready to go in a higher frequency. So that's basically all I do, is I just pay attention. I'm always an observer of life, really observing and listening. There's a movie called Robots. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a line in that movie where he just says, see a need, fill a need. And that's his whole mantra. And that's exactly the way I live. It's just, my mantra is, how may I serve? And I'm just always listening to how may I serve? What is the need? And then allowing Source to channel that wisdom through. So in a clearing, physically, I may pick up on things that are going on with someone. Like, I know that I've had clients remotely that have had arthritis, that they, for years, were going to the doctor, and the doctors were saying, there's nothing we can do. This is just going to get worse. You have to take this pill or this drug. And something in their intuition told them, no, there is another way. And then they were summoned to me. They found me on Facebook, or a friend of a friend told them about me. So they contacted me. And this one person in particular that I'm referencing, she cleared all the arthritis in her body. All the messages had a symbol and a reason that she had manifested that issue in a physical way. So the trick is not being so attached to the physical, like we see everything being so solid. It's really not. And when we understand that, it's kind of like the Matrix. There is no spoon. And so, like, when I'm working with a client, kind of like in the biblical times when we talk about Christ, he would look at the humans before him and he would see their wholeness. He would focus on that wholeness so strongly. And because of his belief and connection to that unity consciousness that he was sharing about, others were open to that miracle happening. And so, therefore, it did. But they were a big part of that. The ones that didn't believe, they didn't let themselves be open enough, would block that miracle from happening. They would think, oh, the arthritis is too real, so therefore this is my reality. Whereas another human will have that and say, well, I believe I can heal this, and I believe that my setting my healing intention and having an assistant light worker setting that healing intention, we're going to clear this. And I've seen miracles happen. She has no arthritis in her body to this day. And I've had people that had blown eardrums come in. I didn't know anything about them until I started picking up on it vibrationally. And then in a session, their hearing's restored. Or in a session, a knee that's been injured for years is healed. I had my dog, that I did a clearing on, and she had this tumor. It was like about the size of one of those big bouncy balls that you can get and play with. And I was concerned about it. And it was kind of funny because it was a lesson how we can be so good at assisting others and like, it's not real. Just, hold your focus. And then when it hits us, you're like, oh crap, there's a freaking tumor in my dog's neck, and I was kind of freaking out for about 30 minutes. And then I was like, wait a minute, I need to go meditate about this. So I got still, I was quiet, and Source just kind of has a sense of humor with me. And was like, do you not remember you're a healer? Like, you can totally take care of this. So as I did, I set that intention, and with my dog's spirit's permission as well, because it's her journey. If for some reason she didn't want to heal that, it's not that I'm failing. If she doesn't allow it, there's a reason. So I set the intention. My animal spirit sets her intention, and together we cleared that, and there's no tumor left. My whole household was blown away by that. But that's the perfect example of that there is no spoon. Like that tumor or that so-called solid thing, it's not as real as we think. So as we focus on the healing, it dissolves and it fades away. Just as much of if we're focusing on our dreams, what we want to manifest, they're not solid unless we're focusing. If we're keeping our focus and we're calling it forth, we're visualizing, we're expecting the miracle, it comes to us very swiftly. Whereas others, they'll talk about their dream or what they want and then quickly lose their attention and go back to the problems and why they don't have it. And law of attraction is in effect no matter where we are putting our focus. So some of us are really powerful manifestors of beautiful experiences, and some of us are really powerful manifestors of really nightmarish experiences. And it's just a matter of our focal points, of our alignment.
I have a couple comments. One, I used to be super allergic to cats. And then I met my husband who had a cat. And my first thought was, well, we'll get rid of the cat, or, it was nice knowing my potential husband. But I had worked through enough stuff that I was able to release whatever it was. Now, if you would have told me that 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. And I have profound hearing. Wouldn't have. But I have profound hearing loss in both ears. And I was like, you know what? You need to get hearing aids, but that's okay because you'll heal it. I'm like, there's some stuff obviously at a deep layer that I need to let go of. It's what I don't want to face or hear. I'm well aware of that. And I believe that I can heal it. I have a friend who healed. He had, was it double vision, was in a car accident. That's healed. I mean, he wasn't allowed to drive because he was a safety risk, but he has corrected that and can drive now. So and you're so right. And for people who are more logical based from a physics perspective, I'm not solid. They're just, what are they? The little atoms going super fast, or I always get it confused, or super fast, or if you're really heavy, it's super slow, or whatever it was. But you're right, and I think that's really important.
But basically, your energy, and you're creating matter. You're creating solid.
But I want you to discuss something you touched on briefly, because I think this is really important. Sometimes we're not meant to heal. And maybe it's a life lesson, maybe it's whatever, but talk a little bit about that, because I sometimes think people feel, well, if I didn't heal, then I failed, or this energy system doesn't work, and that's not necessarily the case. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, basically, the more that we are aligned with Source, the more that we understand everything that's operating in our lives, and the more that we let go of trying to control it. So, like, the way I'm at in my life now is I don't really mind what happens. It's a really beautiful, free space to be, because you just arrive and you just know that miracles are happening always, and that you just arrive and you're just present wherever you're called to be. So there's no more need or seeking or I need to fulfill something that's empty in me. It's just an arriving and a presence. So when there's someone that's struggling with a sickness, typically, I mean, there can be so many layers to that. There could be someone struggling with a sickness because of deep fear, that they have so much fear they can't really embody trust. And so that deep fear is consuming them at an energetic level. It's very disrupting to their vibration and to their physical form. The physical form will manifest disease. So Louise Hay has a beautiful way of saying dis-ease. It's when you're not at ease. And I feel like that is so symbolically true about any sicknesses. There will be beings, though, who maybe, people say, well, why would this child get leukemia? And that's why, if there's a God, why would God do that to a child? And what I would answer is, if I tuned into them at an auric level and tuned in, they may have past life debris that they're bringing over, a victimization that they are manifesting instantly as they come into this human form. They've carried it over. They may be an earth angel that brought this sickness in to awaken something deeper in that family that's beyond the sickness. It could be about really teaching life lessons of what's more important. There's people who will be shifted in huge life-transforming ways when a child is touched with sickness, or you know, someone that they love is taken from them. So, like myself with my father being taken, that was a huge catalyst for my awakening. So now when I look back, I see that as such a beautiful gift. But if you asked me 2 days into it, I was pissed off at the world. I was not thinking things were cool. Life was not fair. I was mad. But that anger had a beauty because that anger ignited truth in me. I